I do want to ask you a little bit because, leadership is really front and center for me these days, thinking about what makes a good leader. We're in this age of ascendant AI. There's a theory that human-centric leadership is going to be very, very critical. What are some of the qualities and attributes you think make a good leader, and how do you try to sort of implement that in your day-to-day life?
Amrita, for me, and especially I think now when we talk about technology being the sort of bedrock of everything that we do and so on and so forth, I think human-centric leadership is going to be critical. And I think the decisions that leaders take as individuals with a heart and soul and a conscience and empathy will be extremely important and extremely relevant as we move forward, because we don't know what we're getting into. We don't know what the boundaries are going to be. We don't know what the guardrails will be. We are in many ways entering uncharted territory. And I think that's the case that everyone is grappling with at this point in time, whether it's the government or regulators or corporations. And at the end of the day, as individuals, what is any of this going to mean for us? But, for me, leadership to start with, and this is something that I've learned over the years and through my own experiences and learning from people that I've interacted with, to start with, it really is about having the courage of your conviction. I think a leader needs to stand up for what they believe in, stand up for what they want, stand up for the vision that they have, and have the ability to articulate that very clearly, communicate that very clearly and consistently and fairly and transparently, so that you can get people to go along with you. I'm a firm believer in the fact that, if you're a strong leader, it means nothing if you don't have the ability to take people along with you. Because then what are you doing? You're pretty much walking by yourself. You're pretty much walking solo. And I think, leaders who walk solo don't really get the job done. And I think for me personally, what gives me my kick, or what gives me my high, is to see that this is the vision that I laid out. And I have had people buy into that because I have spoken to them about it, because I have been able to communicate to them what this means for them, what this means for the brand, what it means for the organization, and then see that collective work towards making that happen. That's when the magic happens. And to see people embody that, to see people live that on a daily basis, that's when the magic happens. And I'm a firm believer in, I'm not a believer in hierarchical structures. And I was watching this interview that Jensen Huang of NVIDIA just did, and he's sort of breaking down this whole notion that we have of organizational structures where it's all hierarchical and so on and so forth. And I've never believed in that. I do believe in having much flatter organizations, because I believe that really gives you the ability to pick up from different places, to co-create, to ideate, and it has a different energy. I'm not suggesting for a moment that, look, there is no one in control. You have to have someone take responsibility, and you have to have people being accountable. But that doesn't mean command and control, to my mind.
Yeah.
That means collaborate and work together. So that is my that's been my leadership style. That's been my leadership philosophy. And I think, again, this probably goes back to the way that I was brought up, because I grew up in an environment where I watched my father go out on an Air Force base and fly a fighter jet every day, where duty and responsibility drove every decision, right? I mean, you couldn't be having a bad day. You needed to show up at work. And so if I'm having a bad day, I show up, but I am mindful of the fact that I will give a colleague or a peer my time and my shoulder if they're having a bad day. So I'm not suggesting that you create this culture where you can't talk about having a bad day, or you're not there for each other. I think we need to create a culture that allows people to bring their true selves, their authentic selves, with all their warts and everything to the table. But I do believe that for me as a leader, I need to show up for the people that I work with, for the organization that I work for. And there are days when I don't feel like, I'm up to it, but I will still persevere, because I feel like I'm responsible for a larger group of people. So I think I do sometimes tend to pressure myself, because I feel like I owe the organization and my team. And I think that I've now learned to balance that a little bit. But that really has been a learning, and also something that I have sort of grappled with over the years. How much is too much? And I think that that is something that I've learned to deal with. But leaders have to have heart. Leaders have to have empathy. And this notion or this idea that you have to be tough and authoritative. For me, being gentle, is the biggest strength. I don't believe in this very masculine kind of idea or notion that we've been fed of leadership. I think the femininity has so much strength, and why should we as women have to adopt masculine attributes just to be able to position ourselves as leaders? I think there's great strength in gentleness, and I'm all for that. And that's just me at my core.